Okay, 16 years ago I left for South Africa, and my husband and I, we rented a house on the rural areas, the platteland. And when we signed the contract, the homeowner said, oh, by the way, in a little room behind the garage, there lives the gardener. And in exchange for living there, he keeps the garden neat. Any objections? So the gardener turned out to be a wonderful person. His name was Fani. And when we left a year later to the city of Johannesburg, he joined us. In Johannesburg, our daughter was born, and I needed a helper to continue my work. And we got a nanny, and her name is Rose. Fani and Rose became the two persons who got very closely connected to us. And imagine, those two people were around my age, but they had very few chances in life. Fani could barely read or write, and Rose had herself 3 children who lived in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, far away. She only saw her children like 3 or 4 times a year, while my daughter actually had 4 parents, 2 white ones, 2 black ones. After 6 years, we landed in Shanghai in China. It was a completely different feeling. We couldn't read the street signs. We couldn't have a proper conversation. We felt like we were on an alien planet. Fortunately, we got an incredible, amazing assistant. Her name was Ying. And she was not only our translator and our fixer, no, she was our bridge to the Chinese world. She gave us backgrounds. She explained things to us. She let us read and hear between the lines. And fortunately, there were other people who helped us to get a window on China. For me, a lot of Chinese women were important. There was Tina. I met her at the kindergarten of my daughter, and she was from Taiwan. And Chinese New Year was approaching one day, and she said, my dad was crying every Chinese New Year's dinner. And then she told me the story of how her father fled mainland China in '49 with his brother. They were still very small, and they had to leave their relatives behind. And for a quarter of a century, he didn't know what actually happened to his relatives in mainland China. I met other women. Ching Lim, she fled China as well during the Cultural Revolution with her parents. Christina Jan, she was the child of a Polish mother and a Chinese father. They met in Leningrad in the 50s and moved to China, where they married and got Christina. But when the Cultural Revolution started, they had to leave China because Polish people were suddenly state enemies. This is the Chinese dog we got because 2 Chinese ladies found the dog on the street tied to a pole with a huge wound on its neck. And they couldn't keep the dog, and that's where we came in. We adopted the dog. In my last year in China, I did a project with a friend. Her name is Ilan Yuan. She is a Dutch Chinese. We were wondering, there's so many stories about China, but mostly about politics and business, and very few stories about daily life. So we thought, let's start a project about daily life, and we called it China for Dummies. Ilan and I went out on the streets to markets, and we asked people about basic things. For example, why do women want to have their skin as white as possible? Why do Chinese people have dogs as pets, while at the same time dog is still on the menu? What is happening with the one-child policy? And are children twins, for example? Are they both legal? Yes, they are. Also, what is so important about the color red in China? The color red is maybe the most important color in China. And the Chinese say, Hong Hong Hua, which means red, red fire. If you wear red, you will feel strong. If you, for example, have an interview, you wear red underwear and you will definitely make it. I came back to the Netherlands, and what I enjoy so much is the fresh water from the tap. At the same time, I'm shocked that this precious water is also used for the toilet. What I value most is freedom of speech. Isn't it incredible that I can stand here and ventilate my opinions? And that's why I want to end with a Chinese hero. His name is Ai Weiwei. He's an artist and activist, and he shows us that what is important is the people of China. It's not about tall buildings, it's not about the second economy of the world. No, it's about people, it's about freedom of speech, it's about an independent judiciary. And Ai Weiwei actually reminds us that we in the West should constantly cherish our freedom of speech. Thank you.